May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be free from harm. May all beings love life. May all beings awaken. Welcome to another episode of Life in Bali. I'm DC Puba of Cuke Audio and Cuke Archives. And Life in Bali is Cuke Audio's weekly escape from all that Zen nonsense and telling you about where I live and some of the people around here and just getting a view of what different people are doing here. Now, I pray that you and yours are safe and comfortable and free from economic distress and able to get out and do whatever it is you want within the limitations of the universal precept of do as little harm as possible. So today our guest is Jeroen Van Overbeek. And Jeroen helps bring people water filters so they can have pure water. And he both sells filters and has provided many, many thousands of them for free to the poor. So we'll hear from him about that very soon. And before I get into blabbing about other stuff, I want to give you some links to Jeroen's website and how you can donate to him and this and that. So you can come back to the first of the podcast. I'm also putting this information at the end, almost at the very end of the podcast. So to donate to the work he does to bring clean water to people, the link is donorbox.org/clean-water-for-Bali. Donorbox.org, DONORBOX.org/clean water for Bali with dashes between the words. His website is social-impact.com, and that's IMPAKT. So SOCIAL-IMPAKT.com. Socialimpact.com. Now, on social media, on Instagram and Facebook, he's Social Impact Running Together. IMPKT, SOCIAL-IMPKT. That's on Instagram and Facebook. And on Twitter, he's capital SOCIAL_IMPAKT. Yeah, check him out. So I'll blab on here for a while, and then Jeroen will join us at 28 minutes and 14 seconds. One new development in our household, Katrinka's and mine, is that we're going to get a couple of coconuts delivered every week. Katrinka called me up last Sunday. She was at the beach, and she said, listen, I sent a guy there, and maybe you could buy a couple of coconuts from him. So he came, and I said, okay. And, the point was What we did was he opened one of them, and I brought him a big bowl, and he just poured the coconut water in it, and then he had a big, heavy knife. We've got one too. And then he opened it up and spooned out the meat of the coconut and mixed it with the juice. And I gave him 15,000 of coconut, a little over $1 each, almost $1 each. We can get them cheaper, but he's a guy who had a job now, and who had a job and lost it, and he spoke pretty good English. I told him, please don't speak English with me, and I'll be happy to buy your coconuts. Yeah, I said, that's no fun. You can speak English with plenty of foreigners who live here. But, that's a way to support him. And we really love coconut water. And so there was enough in that to make 3 pint containers of it. So we had that. And then yesterday, our housekeeper prepared the second one. So we've got that for today. That one produced about 2 pint containers. And listen, coconut water, fresh coconut water is my favorite drink after tea. If I had to choose, though, I'd choose the coconut water, and because I regard the tea as like a habit, but it's great, and it's sort of neat with the meat in it. Now this is young coconut. They call it Kalapa Muda. Kalapa's coconut, and Muda is young. It's different from the hard. I've also had coconut water from hard coconuts, which is interesting, and I like that. It's a little different, and I like the hard coconut shell. Broken up, the part you can eat, the meat when it's hard. I like that better than the young coconut. The young coconut meat is slimy, and it's all right. It's good mixed in, and mixed in with the drink. You can sort of chew on it. But the hard coconut's chewy, and it's got that real coconut taste that you think of. Anyway, that's my favorite drink. So we'll give him a little tiny bit of support for the week and maybe tell some other people about it. And always happy to drink more coconut water. So he'll be here every Sunday. But I told him to call. Let's connect. We got each other's phone numbers. So, well, that's cool. It's not like buying commercial stuff. They also sell commercial stuff here, like packaged. I really don't want it. No, thank you. There's coconuts everywhere. You can drink fresh coconut water just about anywhere, and it doesn't seem to have a season. It's always available. So anyway, that is an exciting new development here. Now, for the virus report, wow, there's sure a lot more now. Here I see that in the official count, 10,413 people have tested positive here, with 9,160 of them having recovered, and 339 recorded deaths, probably more deaths. So let's say there's 400 deaths instead of 339 from people in the deep country, or I don't know. Anyway, let's compare that to the United States. So Bali has about 1/80th of the population of the United States. And so if we multiply 339 times 80, we get 27,120. So if we multiply it 400 times 80, we get 32,000. So, if America was doing as well as Bali, then, and I'm not saying this is a fair comparison, it's, I'm sure apples and oranges in many ways, it would have 32,000 deaths, say. So, and there's no, all the disagreement there is in America and Europe about the virus. I just don't know of anything like that here. Probably over in Java, but this is the same thing I've said before. If you go out, you wear a mask and you practice distancing, and and a lot of when I go out, it's at the beach. So of course there's people there that are at a distance that don't, and, people going surfing and this and that. But in general, people are pretty careful and not defiant. But maybe eventually the same numbers will get it here. I don't know if that's true. It depends on how long it lasts and how long it takes for there to be an effective vaccine developed and program and all that. I don't think you'd have many people here not wanting to take it. There'd probably be freely administered by the government, I would think. The thing is that even if eventually the same number of people get it, it's much better to spread it out, of course, because then your system isn't overloaded. And I haven't heard anything about overloading. I was in a hospital yesterday for an hour, that one right near here that's a center for treating COVID patients, but they have a building just for them. They had a new building that was going to be, I think, for cancer. And, it's like 3 stories and, it's a large building, but it's entirely devoted to taking care of COVID-19 patients now. And so, all right, now I go to the hospital, and I wanted to see. Let me tell you a little bit about going to this hospital. I'm very lucky. It's nearby. I can walk there in 20 minutes. And I walked there in 18 minutes. I timed it once. So there are sinks out in front, nice sinks, with soap. Wash your hands, they say 30 seconds. Okay. Then I approach the door and somebody puts one of these little devices that reads your temperature up to my forehead. All right. And they always show it to you. They do it everywhere, all over in stores and public places. And there's sinks and hand sanitizers. There's sinks with soap, that have been specially installed, or, makeshift things like water dispensers with soap next to them, and hand sanitizer, just all over, everywhere, all sorts of little stores and places where you go. All right, then I go in. Everybody's got a mask. All what used to be open counters, and now they're behind glass. There's a line in front of it, saying don't step any closer than, don't step beyond this line. So you're supposed to deal with the people behind the glass. There is an opening there where you can hand things, like a little rounded top door. But you're supposed to stay behind this line. It's got it, the sign explaining that in English and Indonesian. And, but the first thing I do is I go in and I put my card in a machine. And there's somebody there to help me. They say, well, which doctor do you want to see? I mean, if they're busy, I know what to do to punch on. It's it's got a screen. And I said, well, I want to see a few doctors if they're available. It's like going to Kaiser. It's like they have everything but eye doctors and dentists, right there. And Kaiser has eye doctors, but Bali Mandara, this hospital, has a separate center for eye. So I said urology. All right, I want to go there first if I can. So she punches urology. She gives me a receipt, and then I go take it to counter number 4, and I stand behind the red line, and I explain to them I want to see my heart doctor, my urologist, and a dermatologist. I don't know if I didn't call ahead. I don't know if they're here. You don't make appointments there. You just find out if they're there and arrive at a certain time. And for most to see most doctors, you have to arrive before noon, but not necessarily. So I said I didn't call because I figured there's bound to be at least one of them. Well, she said, okay. She said, the heart doctor has got 2 patients waiting. The urologist isn't here. We'll be here tomorrow. And the dermatologist has nobody waiting. So let's send you there first. So they print something out with little stickers, right? And stick one of them on my hand. They don't always do that. Actually, they didn't do that yesterday. They usually do. All right, so I go up to the 2nd floor to the nurse's station. I hand them that. They read my blood pressure. God, I didn't even look at it. And weight. God, I've gained weight. Gee, since Katrinka came back from America in mid-July, I've gained like 15 pounds. Of course, I weigh like 20, 30 pounds less than I used to even now. but anyway, I want to get back down a little. I mean, I feel fine, but all right, that's enough of that. All right, so then I go wait outside the room number 3, the dermatologist, and an assistant comes out and says, yeah, so you can come in now. She says, I called the heart doctor to see how much time we had or whatever to make sure you got there for that. And he's running late with the second person, said they'll be closed for the day. So you're going to have to come back another day for that. I went, all right. So then I sit down there and I get her to remind me how do you say warts and moles and stuff. And she asked me if I spoke Indonesian. I said I speak enough to get by with this. Of course, the doctor speaks some English. So some things, if I didn't understand, she'd say it in English, and I'd go, oh, yeah. We talked about, so I wanted to look at everything, make sure it's all right. And then I have a little cyst on my face. It's not very visible, but I said it sort of bothers me. And so she said, okay, well, we'd want to put a little anesthetic in that, and then I drill a little hole, and then I suck everything out of it. But, and then she's going through this she's got this book with these, it's sort of like, what do you call it, a ringed binder with all these pages. Every page is a different doctor's visit I've had there on different days. She's looking at my entire history there. She's going through it. I've had a hernia operation, and I had laser surgery on my eye at a prior hospital, but that's mentioned somewhere before this one opened. $300 for that laser surgery that corrected a dislocated retina. Anyway, it's just, she says, well, you're on a blood thinner. I said, well, I take a baby aspirin once a day. She said, all right, well, I don't want to do it until you've seen the heart doctor and they okay you for it. I said, okay me for what? And she says, actually, you don't speak that rudely here. America, I realize how rude we can be when we speak to each other. And I said, well, okay me for what? And she says, well, we're going to give you that anesthetic. I said, well, just do it with that anesthetic. All you're doing is putting this little thing on my face. And she said, well, let's see, get it approved by the heart doctor. I said, okay. So she said, all right. And then her assistant's on the phone. She calls and says, he can see you on Tuesday. He'll be here Tuesday. We'll be here Tuesday. So come back Tuesday, see him first, and then see us. And you can take care of all that before noon. I went, all right. And then they, I have to sign something that says what they've done, and she fills her thing out. And then I go to the cashier and I pay. It was $98,000, a little less than $7 for the visit. That's normal. There are doctor's visits, usually around $100,000. Anyway, and then I go out. And it's just so efficient. And also when you pay, they can see everything. I can ask them, hey, did you give me the local price? Because, I'm a resident. And they look, yes, you got local price. She said, you're going to automatically get local price. You don't have to worry about it. Anyway, they're so efficient. It's so together. And the way they coordinate with each other, and one doctor will have the results of what the other doctor does. It's just, wow. I was in Bali in 1992. I mean, oh God, the doctors are well trained. It's just so sophisticated. Now, I'm sure there's shortcomings because it is still a third world country, but I don't know. I'm pretty impressed. Now, I mentioned how people here, I said, aren't, but I realize how rude we are when we speak to each other in America. Well, actually, it's not that. It's that there's a wider range of expression in America. Like, all right, so a few days ago, Yoman, the Bemo driver, Bemo, remember, is like a Volkswagen bus with an open side that goes around and picks up people and drops them off, sort of like a little bus. They'll have a route. But I call him, and of course, he has almost no business now, literally. I mean, he just doesn't even try, much, but there's a little bit for him. But he's been driving me, mainly me, but us for over 6 years. And so, he came to pick me up to go do some stuff. And there was, we live on sort of like an alley, and he can, right in front of our house, he can pull in tight enough, a car can go by. So, and there was a car there that needed to go by, he was getting tight. So I walked out to the street, the bigger street, which is just a 2-lane street, which is, like 100 feet away. And then this big old truck comes in, loaded with cinder block in the back. It comes in, and of course nothing can get bound in it, but it's going into the first house on the right because they're doing some work in there, and it's going sort of slow, and it's got a back in there, and there'll have to be guys in there that are working, help it. And I just said to the driver, sort of like translating into English would be like, "Oh, excuse me, maybe you could please just back up into the street, and these cars can get out." And he just indicated, "Oh, we'll get in there in a second," and they did. But I thought, wow, if that was America, how many different ways could that conversation have gone? Uh, 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 there could have been a lot of rude things, like, "Hey, could you get that out of the way so these cars can get out, huh?" Uh, Look, I'm going to load this in here, and you can wait. Uh, you can imagine all sorts of different levels of politeness. And I immediately remember I worked with a lot of Hispanics in America, more polite, tend to be more polite. Uh, and I mean, that's just my memory, my take on it. But there's a whole gamut. It could be very polite. Oh, hi. Say, would you mind doing so and so? They might say, "Well, I think we'll get in here in just a second." Or they might say, "Oh, okay." Or it could be, well, like, just ignoring you. Just the variety of what the interactions can be in America is just much greater. Okay. And of course, you could get somebody rude here too, but it's unlikely. I mean, rude exchanges here that I've seen, but I can count on one hand in 7 years. I've never seen road rage. I've seen a couple of guys get angry at each other, but it was over something else. They knew each other and they stopped and pulled over and they were yelling at each other. I didn't know what it was about. But they both went on. One of them was in the vehicle I was in, and both vehicles went on. Okay, well, just giving a little taste of all of that, what it's like, at least from my point of view, living here. And now you're going to hear from Jeroen. So here we go with our guest, Jeroen Van Overbeek.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, hi, Jeroen. So, hey, Jeroen Van Overbeek.
Yeah, Jeroen. Better say Jeroen. Jeroen. Like
Jeroen.
like Jeroen with N. Yeah, like Jerome with M, whatever. But Jeroen. Yeah.
Jeroen.
Huh.
Yeah. I have trouble finding you uh, sometimes because I write the wrong letters for your first name. Jeroen.
Yeah, that's correct. And some people mix it all up, but that's normal. It's since I'm born, I just love my parents. They gave me a very easy name. I grew up in France, and this is a Dutch name, and nobody can pronounce it in France. Can you imagine? So I've been different from young age, but it's okay. I'm okay now with it.
Well,
Uh,
so what are you up to these days, huh?
well, I'm working on the island to provide clean water, with the people. It's not recorded yet, no?
Oh, yeah, it is.
Oh, great. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Great, great, great. And good, good. So yeah, what I'm up to, I'm basically, I'm a social entrepreneur, and we've met a couple of times. I'm based also in Bali, and my organization supplies water filters, very, let's say, affordable water filtration systems, which cost around $20 per unit, and it's for households, yeah?
Yeah.
And they filter any type of water, like water from the tap, water from the rain, water from the river, any kind of water except seawater, except saline water. So that's the product that I promote and sell. And my goal is basically to, let's say, improve access to clean water in the country, because here water is not drinkable from the tap. In villages, people boil it still, so there's a cost associated with wood or with gas. So it's basically a great device for people to save money, to be healthier, because that water that we filter, depending on the source, but still contains minerals, unlike the water you buy in the shops. And it's also a good thing for the environment, because basically we reduce plastic bottle use, we reduce CO2 emissions when people boil water, and there is smokes or there is gas which is burned. So that's a really, really cool product, and I'm happy I changed my life. I'm like an ex-corporate executive, and about 7-8 years ago I decided to do something more useful and moved to Indonesia to do this, and did a bit of research on what are the issues in the world, and that's one of the big issues is water access, because like 1 out of 7 people on the planet here don't have water access, and in Indonesia it's still about 15 to 20% of the population. So yeah. So that's a bit the context, just to place it, what I'm doing, and what I am to these days. To answer your original question, is I'm basically normally selling these products, but right now I'm still doing that. It's a business, it's a social enterprise. I have retailers, I sell directly myself, I sell through shops, I sell directly myself, as I said. But then I also do a lot of, let's say, disaster relief work. Today there is an economic disaster. I used to do a few more, let's say, natural disasters in the past. Here in Indonesia, we have a few earthquakes. We had the volcano blowing in Bali. So I have at that time also been helping, raising money at that time, because then the let's say the victims of these disasters can't afford the product. Because they're in a difficult situation. So I raise money, and then I supply these water filters to the people in need. After earthquakes, after volcanic eruption, there are camps, things like that. And now with COVID and the pandemic, its borders of Bali are closed. It's really already 5-6 months. It's getting harder and harder every day for the people who don't make really an income, or we're depending on tourism, and 80% of this island is depending on tourism. So even if people try to change their lives and do something different, go back to agriculture, or basically do other things, try to find a new way of making income, it's not that easy, and still a lot of people are without income and are a bit lost. So we don't know how long this lasts, and so my product has a great advantage. It's very cheap water that you can get, and so I am basically supplying these water filters for free to some communities that we select, like basically that the people really the most in need, that need these products, and then I'm raising money online for friends, for people, and then I can give them for free. That's what I'm up to right now. It takes a bit of a time, for sure. It's very time consuming, because my product is I would say not common in Indonesia. It's water filtration is a new concept, and I need to explain to the people how it works and show them, because also how to use it, how to clean it, how to install it, how to assemble it, basically. So I'm going around the island to these communities with other organizations also. I'm partnering with food organizations who supply food for free, or we're trying to empower people also with harvesting their own vegetables, or give them a piece of land so they can become more empowered and don't rely on aid. So I work with this organization together. We go either give food or train them on how to harvest food, and I give them the filters then at the same time. So it's great effort from many, let's say, beautiful organizations here, NGOs on the island.
What's the name of your product?
So I have my company is called Social Impact with a K on purpose, because in Indonesian impact is dampak with a K, just to make it a bit different. And I have a brand which is Nazava, Nazava, which means in Indonesian it means let's say transparent, clean. It's an Arabic word. Sorry, it's an Arabic word. It means transparent, clean. So the people who invented the product, they decided to call it like this. So this is a brand that I kept because it's already a 10-year-old brand in the market here. And so that's the name of the filter, Nazara type, or the type of filter. And my company who's basically promoting it, and the main goal is to promote it in the villages, in the more remote areas, and also in the eastern part of the country. That's my real big goal. I've already started. With the pandemic, it's a little bit slowed down for sure, but like places like Flores, Timor, Sumba, I've been there a couple of times, and I'm trying to develop let's say the business there, because the product is much more even needed there. It's very, very poor regions of the country, and when these other people, if they have my filter, it has a huge impact on their lives, on their income.
And yeah, be sure you send me the name of, any the link, any links and product names. I mean, I know Nazava, and
Yeah,
so I'll put it in right at the first.
I'll do that. Yeah, and also I'll send you a link of the website of a few where you can find my shop and the product pictures and all that, but also of my fundraising campaign. I have a page, basically a fundraising link where people can go and if they're inspired, can donate. It's basically $20 US, or 300,000 rupiah roughly, for to provide one filter to one family, and it provides clean water to them for 3 years. So it's really fantastic and very impactful and not very expensive to do that. So you can help Balinese families and people who live on the island by providing them clean water.
Yeah, we've got 3 of your filters. Two, one which we really like, which has 2 candles, and the candle is the word for the filter. It's ceramic
Yes.
with charcoal. It has 2 of them, and we have that in the kitchen. And we've been using it, I don't know, about 6 years.
Yeah, since we met, because we met very early. I was here. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
back 2014. You're right. You have a good memory. It was 2014 we first met.
yeah. And we never buy water. And so many people, including poor people, they buy water. It's just so ridiculous. And it pays for itself pretty quickly, because they're paying like, different amounts, for what is that, 10 liters?
19 liter, the 19 liter, what they call gallon here, the 19 liter bucket with water.
19, yeah.
Yes, 19 liters, and they pay, depending if it's a branded product, it's a brand, they will pay about 19,000 rupiah, or what's that, 1.2, $1.3. If they pay non-branded, like from let's say what we call a refill recycling station, they'll pay 7,000 rupiah, which is like not even that's about $0.50.
Yeah.
But still, it's money, and even compared to the $0.50 isi ulang or refill, the non-branded 19-liter water, my technology is 10 times cheaper on a cost per liter basis. And if they buy it like branded, like the $1.3, let's say, for that 19-liter water, when it's branded, it's 35 times cheaper, our technology, and also 5 times cheaper than boiling, because people use gas, so it has a cost. So this is very, very, I did a lot of research on that, and I mean, it's the cheapest product we have on the market, but it's cheapest, but also very simple to use and very effective, because most important is that people don't get sick, and the bacteria can't get in through our filter, because they're too big compared to the size of the small holes. So it's a ceramic, what's called a ceramic gravity filter. It's quite a well-known old technology, but we have condensed it in a small, as you said, candle, I would say maybe 10, 20, like a 15 centimeter long candle, where the water goes through by gravity. So it's super simple to use. It's 2 buckets, and basically pour the water in the top bucket, goes through the filter, comes through, gets in the bottom bucket. That's the good and clean water to drink. Have a tap, and but as you said, that's my role because we met. You understand that. You're also educated. You live here. There's also a lot of middle class people in Indonesia, local Indonesians who understand and get it quickly. And then there's always people in the villages or in the, yeah, let's say more in the remote areas who've never heard of seen it. So there's education with it. You have to explain to them, and that's my role. That's exactly the role of the company, is to basically promote this product, push it into these villages. Because the main reason I started is because there's so many issues in the world. I read about social entrepreneurship, which is basically business for good, yet having a product or a service which has a positive effect on environment or on the people. So that's what the definition of a social enterprise is, and it's generally a full profit. So we're different than, let's say, charities or NGO, depending on funding, even if sometimes it's mixed, because right now I also fundraise for the victims of, let's say, the people who are in dire need. But in general, what I'm trying to say is that we have a positive impact there, and we need to make sure that this product is known. So it's the whole promotion effort, going there, explaining to the people. And there are ways to do that, because there's also a trust issue. I mean, people don't necessarily believe in it, and it's linked with health. So it's, oh, really? Can I drink from that? Is it safe? So it's a total change of mindset. So I always start my presentation in the villages, especially now. Hey, it's a new thing. It's very simple. It looks like two buckets, but it's not coming from here. It's coming from the moon, from another planet. So they start to laugh a bit about that and say, look, but it is something to really explain, to make sure they understand it. And when you do that, yeah, it works. I say, look, you put water here, you don't put any alcohol into it. It's a water filter, and you don't put any krupuk or that's a cracker, because I love to save crackers in plastic buckets. It's a water filter. So there's this education part to have, and that's why what takes bit of the time to do it, but it's great. I mean, I love my job, because I always say this technology, this filter, and this product is just a vehicle to start conversations about the environment, about reducing plastic, about washing your hands. Well, we talk a lot about that now, for sure, with the pandemic, about getting better hygiene habits. So basically what we call WASH in UN terms, so water, sanitation, and hygiene. And so yeah, I'm working on that Sustainable Development Goal number 6 from the UN, which is clean water and sanitation for all in the world, to improve that. So it's really a really good topic to work on. I mean, it's not easy, but it's hard. Every time we convince people, it's one more person who will get healthier and better. And as I said, the reason I started before is because I read these horrible statistics of so many issues in the world. What can I do to help? And yeah, there's like every 2 minutes in the world, there's a child dying from diarrhea or waterborne disease. So like what we call infant mortality, so kids below 5 years old. So it's here in Indonesia also about, what, 27,000? That's the statistics, official ones, die from waterborne disease. It's mainly, yeah, so babies, young kids, 1, 2 years old. So I'm fighting against this. I'm really in a fight against this. So this technology should be everywhere. Everybody said, well, why does all the people don't have it? Well, because they don't know it. So that's my job. Please help me promote it. So that's my job every day.
Yeah. Well, we bought, I don't know, 4 or 5 of them from you to give to people. And like we gave one to a driver we use, Yoman. We gave it to him, I don't know, 5, 6 years ago. And so, but and we gave one to our house cleaner and her husband. She wasn't our house cleaner then. We were living somewhere else, but we knew her husband. And in both cases, they weren't cleaning the filters well enough, which is very easy to do. And both their filters had to be replaced. I just bought them new filters. I don't know, 6 months later or something. And Yoman's, the drivers, it was black. I mean, they had just completely avoided cleaning it at all. And so after that, they learned,
Yeah, but that's the whole point.
and they haven't.
Yeah.
They've never come back. And I showed them that the way you show people to clean it is with these slightly abrasive
Sponge,
synthetic. Uh,
sponge, yeah.
what do you call it? A
Yeah,
sponge?
a sponge, yeah, a sponge, yeah.
I clean it with my hand, and then every once in a while with that, and it makes it last a lot longer.
Sure. I
But
mean,
you came in and cleaned cleaned the ones I'd been cleaning that way. You re-cleaned them.
well, yeah, I mean, I love it because you must be the only customer that I have who cleans it with the hand, or maybe not many, but maybe not. But that's great. I mean, it works if you do it quite regularly. Yeah, you can do that because you just take the layer of dirt off. For sure, the let's say the the most hello. The most efficient way to do it is with an abrasive sponge if you do it regularly. Now, the example you gave from your driver and before is quite yeah. So the example you gave is great with your driver before and when they because at the beginning they didn't get it. I mean, I'm sure you've told them, but they didn't really get it that they should clean it. And then for sure, I mean, it's totally black, and you need to replace it a bit early. Normally, it lasts three years. So that's the great thing about this technology. Even if you don't clean it well, you can then take the dirt off with an abrasive, let's say, metal sponge, like a very soft metal sponge to take. Because sometimes, the ones that you mentioned, yeah, I mean, they are too clogged, so it's hard. So sometimes it's too much. But like you could still like with a very, very like scrape them up with the metal sponge. Then in these cases, because the lifetime of it is 3 years. It's just that people don't take good care of it. So I mean, or don't clean it regularly. That's the only thing, and that's the main part of my training. That's one of the main parts where I'll tell them, and I explain to them because there's a mental thing also. Like it's something logical. Is, oh, my filter is dirty. Don't want to drink from that water. No, it's on the top side. The more dirty, the better, because actually that's the function to get dirty, that filtered, so that the dirt doesn't go through, and then you clean it. The important thing is the result, which is what is in the bottom bucket, which is clean water with absolutely no dirt. So then they get it. But that's really an important thing to mention in these trainings, what I do right now on the island to the people I give the filters to. So that to have the optimal use and the optimal use of it. Yeah, what I said. And also what I do, example, in these trainings right now in the villages, we do a practice session. So I show them how to assemble it, but then I let them assemble it before they go home. They have to do it, and then for sure they make a bit of mistakes or just not put the screw in the right place or the let's say the washer. So then I correct them and I do a quality control check.
Yeah, you have to do the same thing with me.
Yeah, well, yeah, don't think so. But yeah, I showed
Oh
you. I showed
no,
you.
really,
I did
really?
it. No, I did it, but you got it. But I'm saying for
Yeah,
people who are not educated and not necessarily in the villages have seen that before. It's a new thing. It's like really new. It's like something totally strange for them. So
yeah.
that you have to put yourself in their shoes. So the whole point is to make it as easy for them to use it. So what I do is at the end I do that practice session which they love, and then they're happy when the thing is the training is over, and they can go home with their assembled filter, and they're all happy. And often we also give them food with our organization, so it's a great combination.
Oh, that's
Uh,
good. That's
yeah,
good.
now in the let's say in the pandemic times, because always people suffer, they don't have much income. Yeah, so yeah, that's the thing. It's all about explaining. I'm very, very stringent and tough on that. And when I train people who do my presentations, basically I can't be everywhere, so that's why I partner with organizations. Sometimes they tell me, "Hey, here is a water need." I say, "Okay, come and get some filters." I train their staff of these food, let's say, these food drop organizations, and then they can also basically without me do the training and give the filters. So that's my goal also, to train as many people as possible. I partner with who also go and do some relief for the COVID and do the COVID relief actions. So this is what I'm doing. So we can do more and we can be more efficient, because for sure together we're stronger. Yeah. So I spend the whole month of May, when I decided to do a fundraiser in end of April, I started it, but I spent the whole month of May creating these connections with these people who were starting also to help with food. So I knew we would have to work, we would work together, and that we would be more let's say, efficient together and reach economies of scale, put the resources together. So that's working very well now. I'm so happy I did that.
Yeah.
I work with more than 20 organizations. I've been working more than 22 organizations. I have 3 strategic partners I work with more often, but mainly because, yeah, it's great, food and water.
Yeah. Yeah. So, how did you get into this originally? I mean, you said you were reading about stuff, but well, when did you first come to Bali?
The first time I came to Bali was back in 2013. I've been here once on holiday in 2006 when I was living in China, but that was just a weekend in my previous job. I was basically, I've been working for 20 years in corporates in the food ingredient industry, like
Oh,
raw materials for food, for pharma, also in the paint industry, chemicals, like a binder to make wood lacquer for furniture, or binder to make printing inks. So, and I was in the sales functions, but like international sales, like taking care of a network of 20, 15, 20 countries. And then I moved to general management. So I had quite a very fast career and a quite high level. My last job, I was working for how you call that, a yeast company making yeast for making the bread rise, mainly in the bread industry, also a little bit in the whiskey industry. We sell to them. But I was vice president for Europe, Middle East, and Africa. At that time, I was back in Europe after my 6, 7 years in China. I was in China 2002, 2009, then I moved back to Europe 2 or 3 years. And I was in that role, basically vice president for EMEA, had a $300 million business under me, more like 7, 8 factories, 1,000 people. It was a huge job. And then I decided, it's okay. I don't see the purpose in that anymore, in the sense that I'm always working for shareholders. I had a good job, good salary, everything, but I was traveling a lot. I was tired. And I said, I was close to my 40s, 40 years old, and I said, 2 choices. Either I do another 20 years like this and maybe I die from a heart attack, or or maybe I finish it and just 5 months after my retirement, this would happen, or I do something more useful with more meaning. So that's where what I said earlier, I started to study about and read about social entrepreneurship and said that's what I want to do. So I was back in Europe at that time. I was in Ireland because that's where my job was. And then I said, look, I miss Asia because I'd been in China 7 years before. I was a general manager at that time for a French-Taiwanese joint venture in the paint industry. And I loved it. It was the time when China was booming very fast, and it was very, very interesting to work and be in China at that time. But then I said, I want to go back to Asia because I was missing it. And I want to do something more useful. So there was 2 things. So I just took a plane ticket end of 2012 and just decided to move to, actually first I went to Kuala Lumpur and then Singapore. And I stayed in Singapore for a couple of months just to brainstorm. What can I do? I did research. Then I said, what are the issues in the world? When I saw water, I said, what is terrible about the statistics I mentioned earlier. And I said, look, you need to do something there. So then I checked, okay, I want to check water filters below $30 because I wanted people to be able to buy them. And my market would be what we call the bottom of the pyramid, or like the people who are living in villages who don't have much income. So I needed to make it a business. So I wanted to be able to sell it. It had to be cheap but efficient.
yeah.
Then I came across a few companies. Nazava was one of them, but also a company in Thailand and Cambodia. I met the owners of these companies and made a choice about the product. And then I thought that the product made here in Indonesia, the Nazava one, which is made in West Java, in Bandung, the factory is there, was the best. And I said to the owners, hey, what about Bali? Yeah, we have a small shop selling a bit, but don't do much because I want to live in Bali. I said, okay, move there, do it. So that's how it all started. I came to Indonesia with that. It was a thought process with that purpose of selling this filter. I already just had that idea, just got it. So after my 6, 7 months of brainstorming in Singapore, I moved to Bali for good. I came a couple of times in 2013, which is the year 2013, to check the market, do a little bit of a survey, but okay, just a bit empiric. But it was working, and I said, okay, I have a good feeling that can work. Just moved and started to sell this product and did a pilot for 1.5 years in the east of the island of Bali, which is called Karangasem Regency, which is the let's say, the poorest regions,
Yeah.
the poorest part of the island.
Yeah.
And I spent 1.5 years going there 3, 4 times a week with my car, little car, and my filters at the back. I started to learn the language very fast because I had to, because and I was fluent quite fast. Speak a few languages, so that was not too complicated for me. But then I need to find a guy, also someone to work with, and found my friend from Sidemen in the village, which I was picking up every morning. And we were going around schools. We have been going to the head of the villages, to all these little town halls, little village centers, and talk to the head of the village and introduce the technology. So it was like very promotion and sales at the same time, because I've never seen that. And what I quickly understood is that if I want to be successful, I need to talk to these guys first, which are the local influencers. Can be so the head of the village, or the head of the religious community, or the head of a part of the village, like the influenced people, the people with influence, and convince them first so they could adopt it and then show it to the rest of the village. And that's what I did, and that was quite successful, because I sold more than 1,500 units over a year and a half to people, where $20 could be about a third of a salary, to farmers who earn $60, $70 a month, not more. So yeah, it was a lot of hard work. It was not easy every day, but with persistence we did that. And what I'm very proud about is that I also created a network of 30 women, Ibu reselling the product, so the filters, so they could make a little bit of income. So it's an extra income for them, and they were promoting the filter in the village. So it was often the wife of the head of the village, who would be the head of his women's groups. We have women's groups in the villages, Ibu PKK, which they meet every month. That's the local name of it. And I would go to these meetings and present my product. And sometimes people would, like, so funny, say, "Oh yeah, I'll buy one." And then I would have 4 or 5 buying. But it's hard because I don't have that much money in the pocket at a time. I need to ask the husband, blah, blah, blah. So I thought I'd do a consignment system where I make the lady who's in charge of all this, if she agrees, to sell my product. And she would pay me only when she gets paid. So I put a few filters in the village. The woman would know, hey, if you want one in a month or so, call her, and then you can buy one from her. So that was working quite well. It's a model that is replicable. You need to have a staff to go around to collect the payments and all this. But with a bit of say resources and organization, you can make it. So this is where my start in Bali. And then there's a lot of demand in the cities also, in the south. So I started to sell to retailers like Bali Buddha and other shops, which are basically selling more healthy food. And people who are more also more conscious about the environment go to these shops. So it's a perfect match, because my product also reduces plastic bottle use, so people know about it. So these are my main distributors online, and then I started also to sell to people living in the city and around Ubud, the big centers. So that's and now it's a little bit complicated now as this time, because let's say the business side, let's say the sales are quite low, very low, never been so low because of less money. We're all in the crisis. But I'm very busy with my charity work, with with the distribution of the filters for free on the island. So it's okay. We'll see how long all this lasts. But now I'm happy to be able to help the people. It's super, super useful. And they're also happy to get that, because they understand the value of it, that they will save a lot of money and then can use it for something else, not money to buy water, which is really something which is not necessary.
Yeah. So do you speak any Balinese or just Indonesian?
I speak quite fluent Indonesian, which is a national language. And then there's a local dialect, Balinese, that people speak in the village. And especially old people don't speak that a lot and don't necessarily speak Indonesian. So I'm not very fluent at Balinese. I know a few words, but in general, people can translate. I also, right now, for instance, when I do distribution, still in Karangasem, we go there once a week with an organization called SOS, Scholars of Sustenance, who distributes the food, and they're the ones who are in Rumah Sanur here in Sanur, who are making these packs every day. They cook 1,200 meals every day. So we go to Karangasem once a week. We work with the social department, and then we choose a village, and then last week we gave 200 packages of food to 100 families and 36 filters to the most needy. The 36 filters was for the most needy people. And did the training, but basically then I have a friend, actually my colleague I mentioned I worked with before, who's still there, and he comes and follows, and he's translating me. I speak, it's funny, I speak in Bahasa Indonesia to the people. Most of them understand. A few older people might not. And then he translates in Balinese the main points. So it's great. I mean, I have a great combination there. And if he's not there, there are other people who speak Balinese who would translate it in the local language. But generally, like, except as I said, the older people, most of the Balinese also speak Indonesian. They have learned it at school, so it's working well.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Wow. That's something. But have you had much experience with the dances here and the culture like that? You know.
Yeah, you mean the Balinese dances and things and like
Yeah.
culture?
Yeah.
Yeah, yes. I mean, look, for me, I'm very happy and grateful for the job I have. Because as I said back in 2014-15, the first 1.5 years, I was only in the villages. It was a pilot. I sold to a few friends who were interested about the product, but in general, I was in the villages every day, man. So at that time, actually, my Balinese was much better because I was listening to Balinese every day. So I could kind of really understand quite well the local language. Um, but then, for sure, you go in the village life, and then you see these things. And I've seen a lot of also cockfighting, which is a very popular, let's say, hobby for men here, which is unfortunate because it's just betting and all that. It's not really
Yeah.
a legal thing, but I mean, that's part of the life. And then, yes, there are a lot of ceremonies. You know how Bali is. There is a ceremony everywhere, every day. You can find a ceremony. There are the main ones like Ganungan and Kuningan, but then there are a lot of ceremonies for village ceremony, anniversary of the temple, different kind of gods that they basically worship. So yes, the answer is yes. I've been seeing a lot of these things in the villages, more than going to let's say a show in Ubud where they show it too for the tourists. So I'm very happy that my job gave me that opportunity. I'm always saying I might be one of the foreigners living on this island who know the east of Bali the best because I've been to more than 250 villages. In Karangasem, I know almost every village. Now I'm going back, actually, it's funny, quite a lot these days with the pandemic, and to distribute filters for free. And yeah, I know where I'm going. I mean, that village, okay, I know where it is exactly. I've been there.
Uh-huh.
So it's very interesting. So yeah, I'm very well versed with that local culture. Not everybody is, but I mean, for me, like anyway, my philosophy is any country I go to or even I visit, I learn at least 10, 15 words. Like at least the basic word, like, hey, thank you, how are you, where is it, this and that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Balinese are great in hospitality, and that's why we need to also respect that and respect their traditions. When you go to the temple, put the sarong on, all these things, and like just yeah. I mean, also okay on the beach, you just go and swim, but like like just cover yourself when you get out of the beach, things like that. Because I see so many foreigners not having a clue about it, and I hate this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've seen that. I've seen that.
But that's it, and that's a bit very. I would say it's very issue. But and that's what I also love about Indonesia. They always have a word for, like when we see a foreigner, they say tamu, which means guest. So they sometimes say bule, okay, foreigner, but generally we say, oh, tamu, tamu, ada tamu. You go to this, oh, ada tamu. So I just love the language because it means guest. So they're guests. They are hosting us, and that's what I love about this language in this country.
Yeah. 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 Um, what what do you think about the trash situation? Have you noticed any change in it over the last 7 years?
Yes, there's been a huge change. I'm very much involved into these movements who fight trash or people who do beach cleanings or trying to basically educate people to reduce the trash. Cleaning beaches is not a solution. I mean, some people do that, and I think the root of the problem is education. I'm very much part of this movement, and I've seen a lot of improvements. I'm very hopeful. only for one reason, is because this country is one of the youngest countries in the world, where 63% of the population in this country who is below 30 years old, which is incredibly high number and figure. And
Yeah.
with social media and let's say with these people, there's a lot of power to change things. I've seen it over with some activists who have really been able to even touch up to the president of Indonesia about cleaning a river or things like that. It's happened, yeah. So there is for sure there's still a lot to do, because the main issue is that people don't know what they're doing is wrong, in the sense that mass consumer industries and like these companies, the fast-moving consumer goods, brought plastic, and in villages, especially, there's always small warungs where they sell everything at the unit, and it's like a little soap bar, or it would be a little candy, and this is the worst thing because it's by unit and it has plastic. It's wrapped into plastic, and that people think is cheaper because they buy only one. Actually, it's much more expensive than if you would buy bulk, but they don't know that, and that's only what we offer to them. So that's where the thing is, and they're not very much educated about it, and they throw things on the ground. So that's where it all starts. And then it goes to the rivers. People like to dump in the rivers because at least it goes out of their sight, So it's gone out of in the river and it's gone. You don't see it anymore, but actually it stays there, or it goes to the sea. If it's rainy season, then it starts to all flow to the sea and into horrible beaches, which are polluted with plastic. It's horrible sights. And Bali knows also it's a huge tourist destination, and the government knows they have to do something about it. So they're working on a few programs, and I'm hopeful this will, let's say, over the years, this will improve. For sure, it's going in the right direction. I remember one example I always give is when in 2013 I was part of his trash hero organizations when I just arrived. These people who clean beaches, and they were mostly foreigners, which were like concerned by it and were part of his organization. And then there was these local people looking at us like, who are these crazy foreigners just cleaning the beaches? What are they doing? Now, 5-6 years later, maybe 1 or 2%, or maybe 5% of foreigners in these organizations, all locals. So it's
Yeah.
really shifted.
Yeah.
The
That's
mindset has
good.
shifted. That's the great thing. It has totally shifted, and especially they also involve the youth, because that's where the change lies. And also, when I do presentations to schools, I like to go to elementary schools. I go to schools where the kids are 6 to 12 years old, elementary schools. I don't go higher because it's kind of too late. They already have their habits. An example I always give is that back in 2017, I think I love that presentation I did at a school close to in Bedulu, close to Gianyar, and I was with my friend from let's say the Rumah Compost in Ubud, who is doing compost crafting, and they're also taking trash. They are like a trash pickup company, but they also do compost. And he was talking about compost to his kids, show them how to do. I was talking about the filters, reducing plastic. So we're working together. There's beautiful organizations doing different things, and we like to work together, because then we can explain our different technologies, why it's good. And these kids were so amazed, they loved it. And then, a lot of the teachers also bought filters for the schools. And, when it's all about introducing something new, which has a positive impact. But you need to introduce it. That's the first thing to do. So when I'm very hopeful that these things will improve, because Indonesia is the second largest polluter for ocean pollution with plastic. It's normal. It's the biggest. How you call that? Yeah. No. In general, it's the biggest archipelago. The biggest archipelago in the world. It's only
Oh,
beaches and only islands and beaches. We have 17,000 islands in Indonesia.
yeah.
It's huge. So we're the second biggest marine polluter after China, but it's a normal thing. And then number 3 must be Philippines. So
Yeah.
the five first are here in Southeast Asia, and it's Thailand and Malaysia. I don't know in which order, but number 1 is China, number 2 is Indonesia for sure. And the government really has put a lot of money in to change this. They have serious plans, and with foreign technology, people come like I've heard there's a lot of funding coming also from Norway about that. And on different technologies for helping here the Indonesian government to basically create a more circular economy and get the plastic cleaned and then recycle the plastic, because it's all the thing is that the issue is the linear economy. Today you need to make it more circular economy.
Yeah, yeah. What about climate change? What do you have to say about that?
Well, we kind of how can I say that? We see it every day here. The seasons are totally crazy, changing. I remember the last 2 3 years has been almost no rainy season, only 2 3 months. So it's very dry, and now this year it's changing again. We have quite a lot of rain actually, even during the non-rainy season. Now it's kind of
Yeah,
started on time. Kind of started now. We have had a few rain, and I, I, um, I read it because there's this phenomena called La Nina, where the oceans are like kind of cooling, you know, at the surface, and then it gives more rain. So, well, right now it's good to have more rain because we need it, but it's for me it's just something that the world has to work on. And now, at least the good thing about this, if there's one good thing about this pandemic, is that there's a lot of less pollution, and that I'm not sure we're going to reverse it, but at least there's a pause on pollution, on industries working hard on air pollution, on traffic and all that. So I think that as long as humanity and our leaders won't understand that we have to do a drastic change, these things will unfortunately not get better. But we need really to act. And at the same time, I'm quite hopeful, as I said, because there's a lot of young activists and people, not just young ones, all over the world where their voices are, let's say, more heard, and that the governments can't, and all the people who rule us can't really, how can I say that? Not see it. They basically have to deal with it. So my point is, let's put these problems on the table every day, show it to the people, and yeah, really fight for it. It's very important.
that's all very impressive. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
And no, I mean, I'm happy to have a discussion. It was very interesting. I love the questions. I hope it's people get inspired by that. You will send my links so people want to learn more about my work. And yeah, I think that's it for me right now. And if people have any questions or what, they can contact me through my website that I will give you later in the links. You can contact me by email, by WhatsApp. It's all there. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Well, send me all that. I'll get it together. I'll uh, I'll put it up Thursday afternoon, uh, and I look forward to seeing how your work evolves and hearing more from you and meeting you. Hey, you ought to come to Umba tonight.
is it tonight that they have whatever? Is it Chris tonight or is
Yeah,
it?
Tuesday nights become the cool night at Umba.
It was
Uh,
before it was Thursdays. It was Chris who was playing. Who is playing tonight?
um,
Krishna.
well, yeah, um, Chris will be there. He's always there. I mean, yeah, unless something else came up. His mother, Kim, and Goose, and
So it's
Chris,
so
and
it's Tuesdays now. Cool. Yeah, because I forgot about that. It's cool that you remind me. Tonight I cannot. I'm in Kerobokan because I have something else, but I will do it. Yeah, if it's Tuesdays, yeah.
yeah, uh, yeah, we walk there. We'll walk there with our dogette, and yeah,
What
they
about?
have the taco special.
Cool.
Uh, Pretty cool. Huh?
Like
Yeah.
what? 70? What time are you? Like 6ish, 7ish? What
Oh, we
time is?
get there at 5.
Okay, cool.
5. It usually runs about 5 to 8. And
Okay,
so, we're sitting outside with the wind blowing on us. So it's a perfect situation for the COVID virus, to get together. And
sure. Yeah, I understand that.
yeah, and yeah, it's a nice theme. Uh, so, well, I appreciate all that. That's good. I learned some. That's really impressive. All the work you've done in the villages and all the villages you've been to and everything. I'm envious.
Thank
Uh,
you.
I I really don't like to get in cars and go around anymore. Uh, so
But you
I,
can, but you know what? I mean, if you like to do a distribution, sometime we can go and come to Denpasar. I mean, I'm not doing just Karangasem is a bit far, but we do. Now tomorrow I'm doing something in Pejang Ubud. Then Thursday is Karangasem, and Friday is I'm going to an orphanage, kind of a center for abused kids or whatever. So I'm going to put some filters there for a friend. But there's this kind of things. Yeah, I mean, when there's if you're interested, let me know. I can put you on the list. I have a list of people.
uh-huh.
And then if it's something not too far, I mean, like in the area of Denpasar, you can go to a slum or somewhere. We can go together, and you can have a look at what I'm doing, so you understand exactly what I was talking about.
Yeah, I'd be interested in a village, uh, and I'd want we I'd want it to be a time when Katrinka could come, and we have a driver we'd want to use. Uh, I just need to give him a certain amount of money every month to help him and his family. So, uh, it, you know, a few weeks ago, we went and spent a day in Seminyak on the beach because it's so, you can get there now. There's no traffic jam. Uh, and,
Sure.
there's Kalapa Muda, the coconut water for within the coconuts for 20,000 and everything. But one reason we did it, I just needed to give Komang some money. So I said, "Hey, come pick us up and we'll spend a day." And I gave him about twice as much as you would normally give someone for something like that. But he's working at his brother's farm now, uh,
Mm.
and so uh, that's one uh, impetus I have to get out is just I.
Yeah, it's very kind of you. It's really cool. Yeah, I mean that you support them in this time. Yeah, it's cool.
Well, there's about 4, 5 people we're doing that with, and we don't have a lot of money, but I just feel obligated, and we know them too well, you know. Uh, so my our charity doesn't go. Yours extends far and wide. Ours just goes to the people we know well.
It's good. Yeah, no, no, it's important. I mean, what you do is it's not a number of people; it's what you do. I agree. No, I didn't give. I was thinking I didn't give you the numbers of impact, but it's not necessary. I mean, like like.
The you didn't give me what?
Sorry, the numbers of the impact of my company. Like for instance,
Go
I've
on.
already. Yeah, I can tell you. You can add that if you want. So I mean, in terms of people who are drinking from my water filter, it's about 280,000 people who already drink from the filter that all the filters I've put on the market. So it's 280,000 people who have been positively impacted by
Yeah,
clean drinking water.
yeah.
It's about 8,900 tons of CO2 that has been saved basically and not consumed because we're not boiling the water anymore, and
Yeah.
so that's an impact on CO2. And there's also 53 million plastic bottles which have not been used because people are using my filters.
Oh, that's good. Let me say one thing about boiling. I'm very suspicious of boiling being enough because there's things like pesticides in the water that
Yeah,
aren't going
yeah.
to be removed by boiling.
Exactly, yeah. So that's the point. So when you boil, normally you should boil actually 15 minutes to make sure everything is dead in terms of bacteria. But people don't do because then it's gonna be no water anymore in the thing. Yeah, it's gonna be all evaporated.
Ha 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 ha. Yeah,
But you're right. I mean, the more when you boil, you don't get rid of the chemicals and the pesticides. So if they are,
yeah.
and so that's the advantage of my filter. When you go through, the thing, the carbon takes it out. So what comes out has no chemicals and pesticides. So that's why it's great.
I know there's some things your filter won't get, like heavy metals, right? And
No, no, it gets heavy metals. It's wrong. No, it gets heavy metals.
uh,
Um, the thing it won't get, I mean, no, I mean, like it gets most of the thing. It's just that heavy metals it gets for sure. No, also, arsenic is a bit harder. There's no arsenic in the water here in Bali. That's one of the ones which is a bit complicated with our filter. And but apart from that, there is even river water you can use it. The only thing is, for sure, suppose you would take water from a heavily polluted river, just like a, I don't know, like a chemical factory dumping pigments, all that shit,
Oh,
chemicals in the
shit.
water, and
Yeah.
you put that in the filter. That's not the function. It would filter it out, but it will clog very fast, and then it wouldn't. I wouldn't advise that because this is not the thing, you know. But
Yeah.
a normal river, I mean, there's a great video also on our website actually. If you, I send you my link to the website. If you go on my first page, there's one video on the home page. Just check that out. I think you may have seen it, and it's when you see how the dirty water of the river is turned into clean water at the mid-end of that video. It's really incredible. It's a technical video explaining how the filter works.
Yeah.
It's less than 2 minutes, and around 1:20, 1 minute 20, you will see that just like magic, you know, the top is, you don't see the filter. It's river water, it's dirty chocolate, and down clean.
I've, you know, every once in a while, uh, I've used it to filter very dirty water. We actually have a really small one we use when we travel. I
Mm-hmm.
said we have three. Actually, we have four. We
By the
have,
way, if you travel, I have a new model. If you're interested, I have one very different. It's like two pouches, and I haven't seen it. It's called the Petrus. It's only 280,000, and it's basically two pouches, and you can. It's like you need to hang it on a tree or something to have a bit of gravity. And the top pouch, you have the filter. You put 1.5 liter, right? It's not huge, but you put water. It's for traveling, for you go hiking or whatever. And then you put any type of water, and then you come back in the bottom pouch. You you can drink. It's a different format. It's interesting. It's like yeah. So if you're interested,
I'd like to see that.
yeah,
And
yeah,
you also listen. I am aware you have to go, but there's one other thing. You also can hook up a filter to the to, that will filter all the water coming into a home.
yeah. That's different, but that's not for drinking. That's taking the shit out. Like for instance, carbon. You'd have a big carbon filter, and then you would take all the smell out. You would put. You also have a. If you put another media like zeolite, which is a softener, it would take the calcium out. You know, your white stains. So this is just to filter and make the quality of your water better. And in the end, you put a UV, or you put or you use put you pour in our filter, or you put a tap filter. We also have tap filters.
Tap filter. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's different. If you mean the tap filter, that's for drinking. We have a tap filter we can put like the small ceramic candle. Same thing, but it's on your line. And then we have these big machines, these big 1.5 liter like containers where they have a different material into if your water is very dirty or smells or what for the house. This is something different. I don't promote it too much, but we have that too. So I've put a couple in villas for people who really have smelly water or too much chalk. You know, if it's too much chalk or too much lime, we have systems for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then what you were referring was the tap filter, the one you put under the sink. It's the same thing as the small candle, but you just put it under the sink and you just water goes through there and it's filtered. You can drink from your tap.
Yeah. Yeah. You've got various things there. All right. Very good.
Well,
Okay.
next time you come to the cafe, let me know. Maybe I'm around or not tomorrow. I'm not too sure what time you go there, but I mean, just send me a message, and if I'm around, come here and show you.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Take
Thank you,
care.
David. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Well, thank you very much, Jeroen Van Overbeek. That was very inspiring. Um, I'm going to give you now some information about Jeroen that I have given previously. To donate to the current fundraiser to help provide really impoverished people in Bali with clean water. And Bali and Flores and Oh, I don't know where he's going to be getting to. I mean, he just keeps expanding. Anything you give to him, it'll just keep expanding on him. Incidentally, like he talks about getting in those villages. Katrinka does that some. That's where she is today. She was out of here at 7 this morning to go to a village in Karangasam over in the eastern part of Bali, where he works. He probably knows the village, but it's one where they're going to be walking from where they park to get in there to where the village is. And I didn't ask her what they're doing. It's Bali Women's Bali International Women's Association. They'd be bringing them basic necessities, food, medicine. Katrinka asked Suzanne, who's she's going with, she said, "Hey, if we have to pee, do we have to worry about snakes on the side?" And Suzanne said, "I'd worry more about people." That's interesting. They sort of went, what? Are they, what's the difference between the people there? I want to ask Jeroen about that. Of course, different villages are different. So to donate to clean water for Bali, go to donorbox.org/clean-water-for-Bali. So that's donorbox, DONORBOX.org/clean-water-for-Bali, clean-water-for-Bali. Then Jeroen's website is socialimpact.com. And that impact is spelled IMPAKT. So SOCIAL-IMPAKT.com. That's Jeroen's website. Then on social media, it's Social Impact written straight out. No space or anything on Instagram and Facebook. And on Twitter, capital social _impact. Capital IMPAKT. Check him out. And I appreciate what he's doing, and I'm sure you do too. So, until next time, this is DC, coming to you from Sleepy Sanur, with Dogette Bandita, Feline Cuchita, and dear lovely Katrinka. Wishing you, and yours, and all of us, a grand awakening.